Sripad Srivallabha Charithamrutham, Chapter 24, Part 2. Worship of Shiva during Shani Pradosha time results in the removal of malefic influence of Saturn. When Shivratri occurs on a Tuesday, it is considered very important. If the 13th moon phase occurs on a Saturday, then it is called Shani Trayodashi. To remove different affliction caused by Saturn, who brings forth the consequence of it, Shiva should be worshipped and Jinjali seeds should be donated on Shani Trayodashi. Shiva is the lord of Saturn. So if Shiva is worshipped with Jinjali oil, then the application of Saturn are removed. If Shiva is worshipped during dusk on Saturdays, all evils from karma will be annulled and peace and comfort will be obtained, because Shiva is the lord of Saturn. Saturn causes us to experience the consequence of karma. Shiva causes destruction. Every person should worship Shiva during Shani Pradosha time. This worship reduces all the heinous sins arising from inauspicious actions into ashes and purifies the body, mind, intellect, ego, heart and soul through fresh divine effluent, auspicious vibrations, and bestows a happy new life. In order to obtain all the super achievements, one should worship Shiva during Shani Pradosha time. By following the above procedure, the fury of Saturn will be abated. During the night hours of each Saturday, all negative forces that preside over the sins of that living being, which are the forces of misfortune and destruction that remain in an invisible thick black color form, take residence in Mahakali, the form of Shakti of Mahakala. The next day on Sunday at the time of sunrise, on account of the grace of Mahashakti dwelling in the central region of the cosmic sun, a new life will commence for the spiritual aspirants. Heaps of inauspicious sins are burnt in fire of yoga of Sri Parameshwara, Shiva in the form of 5 elements. The 5 elements are Shiva's form. The earthly nature is present in the body in Muladhara as a sign of spiritual aspirants worshipping the Parvadalinga. Swadhisthana relates to the nature of water. Jalalinga represents the center. Manipuraka related to the nature of fire. Jwalalinga represents this center. This is also called Hiranya Stabhava. Anaharata in the heart is the seat for the airy nature. Vayulinga is a symbol of this element of air. Vishuddhi in the throat is the seat of sky and is called as Chidambaralinga. The Chidambaralinga, which is called Akashalinga, has no shape at all. The adoration, worship and darshan of these Shivlingas of 5 elemental forces is highly fruitful. In Chidambara Kshetra, that is which lies hidden behind a curtain, is called the Chidambara Rahasya. Nothing is seen when the curtain is lifted. The pure sky is the Atmalinga of Shiva. The heart is the seat of spirit and therefore the soul dwells in the sky. In fact, the sky has no form at all. Yogis who concentrate their mind and meditate with a single pointed look upon the real self will have the fermented of their heart opened up. The entire creation, the whole universe, stars, planets and all other will appear in their heart. Runa means sin. Aruna means sinless. Parameshwara resides in the heart of the sky. Parameshwara exists in Arunachala in the form of Arunachaleshwara, the Arunachala Linga, and in the form of Mahasiddha. Arunachala, the Arunachala mountain, and the form of Mahasiddha. His darshan neutralizes all sins. The same Arunachala has now incarnated in human form in Pitikapuram as Sripada Srivallabha. He is now brilliantly shining in the divine glory in Karangudda with the intention to liberate us. Karangudda equals to Arunachala mountain. The Arunachaleshwara, the form of Ardhanarishwara, is none other than Sripad Srivallabha. The great Siddha in Arunachala is also the gesture of this sage only. Just as the mountain in Arunachala is the image of Shiva, this Karangudda also is in the form of Sripada Srivallabha. Just as the forces of Shiva in Arunachala Shivalinga, the forces of Shiva are in the form of Sripad Srivallabha. Seeing Parameshwara in the form of Mahasiddha in Arunachala is very difficult, but this Mahasiddha form in the form of Sripada Srivallabha is easily accessible. Thus concluded Sri Dharmagupta. I requested Dharmagupta, Sir, I heard that Sripada is the combined form of Sri Venkateshwara Swami along with Sri Padmavati Devi. But you affiliated that he is a form of Shiva Shakti. You are saying that it is highly meritorious to worship Shiva during Shani Pradosha time. All this is very confusing to me. Kindly explain. For that, Dharmagupta replied smilingly, Sir, the divine nature of Sripada Srivallabha cannot be comprehended even by the 7 rishis. Even then, I will try to explain this to you to the extent of my abilities. Lord Venkateshwara has been in the existence since Krita Yuga. He gave boons to Dasharatha since he said that he would be born as Sri Rama. He can also be worshipped as Sri Rama, the son of Kausalya. Sri Venkateshwara Swami was worshipped for some time as Bala Tripura Sundari in the form of Shakti. After some time, he was worshipped in the form of Shiva for some days. Some people worshipped him as Subramanya Swami. After that, on the initiative of His Holiness Sri Ramanuja, he is now worshipped by the Vaishyavites as Lord Mahavishnu. Buddhists regard him as great Shunya. He is Lord Datta. He is highly attractful in conducting the drama of illusions. He demonstrates his sportive play to those spiritual pursuers who call him, regardless of how they call him, by responding to their calls and saving them, and thereby providing that he is the God. He is the same one who is now giving his presence to the world as Sripada Srivallabha. On the left side of Sripada's body, Shakti moves around, and on the right side, Shiva moves around. Therefore, he is the personification of Shiva Shakti. Mother Padmavati adores his heart. The heart is a symbol of mercy. It is in the place of Anahata Chakra. Shakti extends from there to the higher chakras and also to the lower chakras. Therefore, in another body of divine consciousness, he is Padmavati and Sri Venkateshwara. He is the form of Vani and Hiranyagarbha also. Vani Saraswati, who expresses herself as Parapraisti Madhyama, and Vaikhari form of speech dwells on his tongue. The divine consciousness of Mother Vani and Hiranyagarbha also in the non-dualistic state. The real Chidambara secret is he assumes 3 forms of consciousness at the same time. There is not even a touch of similarity between his different bodies at the same time. He assumes the body of conscious of Vani, Hiranyagarbha, Shiva, Parvati and Padmavati Venkateshwara simultaneously. He took a body of consciousness called Sripada Srivallabha and transcended the above forms of consciousness. This is Yoga Maya, his Vaishnava Maya. This is his Chidambara mystery. He can be regarded as one belonging to Dvaita, Advaita and Vishwadvaita, and also one who is beyond all those. The reason for this is that there is no limit of his Yogamaya and Vaishnavamaya for the tractful one who donned the charming figure of Jagan Mohini and distributed nectar only to the deities, for the one who enticed Shiva in his Mohini form and who made Shiva endowed of him without the need of Manmada, and for one who gave birth to Dharma Shastra, nothing is impossible for him. For Lord Datta, who imparted the knowledge stating, I am the Mohini form, I am also Dharma Shastra, nothing is impossible for him. Atma said that it will create itself through Maya. Is it not? He who was the form of Mohini created himself as Dharma Shastra. Oh, what a tactful way! Saying this, Sri Dharmagupta made me wonder. Chapter 25. The efficacy of Rudraksha, the method to worship Shiva and their results. I requested Sri Dharmagupta to tell me how to worship Lord Shiva. Sri Dharmagupta explained, Dear Shankar Bhatt, the first method of worshipping Lord Shiva is to chant these 5 symbolized Shiva mantra as a jap. The second method is to worship Shiva through the procedure of Mahavyasa. The third method is performing Rudrabhishek. The 5 letter is the 5 symbolized mantra stand for the 5 premier dial elements. All living elements is called an animal because he is entangled in beastly shackle such as attachment, influation, etc. Pashupati is the one who releases the living being from the beastly bonds. The 5 symbolized Shiva mantra is described as a star with 5 angels. Among the 5 angled mantra, the first variety grants liberation. The second variety bestows luxury and affluence. During the 5 types of services performed during the worship, it is said that the sandalwood powder is used for the earthly nature, coconut water is for the water nature, lightened lamp is for the nature of fire, a fragrant instant of sambrani is for the nature of air, and the sound of bells is the nature of sky. In this matter, the 5 types of traditional services performed during the worship of Lord Shiva represents the 5 elemental natures. For the devotees who practice the 5 letters of the 5 symbolized mantra and their respective natures, the 5 natures will appear with their 5 colors. The 5 colors are the shine of Mercury like that of a white petal, or brilliance like that of silver, red color like that of coral, golden yellow hue, brilliant blue light spread over the universe like blue sky, and pure white light. The 5 colored light which shines in the middle of the eyebrow is called the Sandhyopasana by the sages. It must be understood that yantra, mantra, pancha tattva practice, yoga practice and self-surrender is the key component of spiritual pursuit. Through this, the thought of Devatma, the soul of the body, will be destroyed. The body of Jiva will be regarded as a temple. The Jiva who shrines in it will be transformed to be a Shivatma, and liberation will be achieved. For attaining that state of liberation, Panchakshari mantra, Mahasya, worship of Shiva and Rudrabhishek will greatly help. Vishnu likes Sahasranama Sutra. Ganapati is fond of modaks. The sun is pleased by salvation. The moon is pleased with offering of water. The fire god gets pleased with oblations. Shiva is very much pleased with Abhisheka. When the great deluge happens during one of the prior kalpas, Brahma filled a vessel with seeds of each species, such as living beings, trees and herbs, for the future creation. The water from all the seas and rivers as well as ambrosia were poured into that vessel. He introduced his life force into it and charged it with the great Gayatri mantra. That vessel is called as Purnakumbha. The ambrosia in that Purnakumbha was showered continuously into the earth. Since sages conducted this Abhisheka at the Kailash mountain, it became a place of ambrosia. An ice Shivalinga gets formed naturally in the Amarnath caves on the full moon of Shravan. On mere seeing the Amarnath Shivalinga, all the sins will get demolished. The birth of the sages Vasistha and Agastya. When the Purna Kumbha was kept upside down, two sages came out of it. The first one was sage Vasistha, emerged with a white effluence. The second one, sage Agastya, was born with a blue effluence. But both were born with the interact properties of Maitra and Varuna deities. With the water sanctified in the Purna Kumbha, Ekadasya Rudrabhishek must be performed 11 times. By doing this, the merit of the 11th moon phase will be granted by Parameshwara, who is the personification of Ekadasya Rudra. Since there is a close connection between the 11 Rudras and the 11th moon phase, which is considered sacred by Vaishnavites. Must be noted that Shiva and Keshava are inseparable. When Ekadasya Rudrabhishek is conducted with Namaka mantras, all ill aspects that lead to untimely death are removed. Moon is the preceding deity of Somalatha. He showers strength needed for regeneration. This spark of moon glows above the center point of the eyebrows and before Sahasra center in the head of a yogi. Description of different forms of Lord Shiva. For the very reason it is said that the crescent moon adorning the crown of the Lord Shiva. In Somnath Chitra, Gujarat, the crystal Shivalinga made out of a Chandrakanta stone with a glowing white crescent moon on Shiva's head is worshipped. Unless one attains the state of Rudra, the Rudrabhishek should not be performed as per scriptures. Since the time effigies everything, the person performing Rudrabhishek should become one with the time and mentally evoke the form of Yajna into his body with Manavasya and perform Rudrabhishek. The Mahanasya Rudrabhishek is described by sage Bhaudanya, who worships 5 forms of Shiva. They are Tapta Purusha, Aghora, Satyokta, Vamadeva and Isanya. The form of Tattva Purusha is in the color of the electric power, resembling the fire of Pralaya. The form of Aghora is in the blue color of the cloud, the color of dark blue bee. The form of Satyogata is in the jasmine, white color of the moon. The form Vamadeva is in the color of snow white. The form of Isanya is an effluent form and therefore he is the sky color. It is that Rudras are thousands and thousands in number. That means that the deity called Rudragnyas are there, 3 of each group. Thus, for 11 Rudras, there are 330 million Rudragnyas. The Veda affirms that they provide the earth, sky, cosmic, water, air, body, life, force and mind. The Lord of these 330 Rudragnyas is Ganapati. Therefore, Sripada Srivallabha incarnated on this earth on Ganesha Chaturthi to reveal that in an yogic way the Ganapati element in him. So those who worship and remember Sripada will derive a grace of 330 million Rudragnyas. Description of Rudraksha. Devotees of Shiva should compulsory wear Rudraksha. Among the Rudraksha, there exist Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishnava, Shudra categories. White Rudraksha belong to the Brahma category. They are rarely available. Red, honey-colored Rudraksha are of Kshatriya category. Rudrakshas of tamarind seed color relate to the Vaishya category, and black ones belong to the Shudra category. Generally, Rudrakshas with 5 to 16 faces are largely available. Rudrakshas drown when placed in milk or water. Light Rudrakshas or tender Rudrakshas should not be worn. When a Rudraksha is placed below a copper spoon, and if a copper plate is kept underneath, if it rotates clockwise like a saligrama, then it should be understood that it is of good wise. Then it should be understood that it is of good quality. Some Rudraks rotate anti-clockwise. They bring poverty. So householders should not use them. If householders use them, then bad effects like death of wife, dissolution of family, renunciation from the family can happen. Ascetics may, however, use them. Kalinga Rudra said that Brahmins should use white Rudrakshas, Kshatriyas should use red Rudrakshas, Vaishyas should use light yellow Rudrakshas, and Shudras should use black Rudrakshas. Then they will get favorable results. Their sins are destroyed and all their desires will be fulfilled. The special feature of Rudraksha with different number of faces are as follows. One face Rudraksha is the form of Shiva. Two face Rudraksha is the form of Ardhanarishwara. Three face Rudraksha is in the form of Agni. Four face Rudraksha is form of Brahma. Five face Rudraksha is the Kalinga form of Rudra. Six face Rudraksha is the form of Kakateya. Seven face Rudraksha is in the form of Manmadha. Eight face Rudraksha is the form of Rudra Bhairava. Nine face Rudraksha is in the form of sage Kapila. It is difficult to get it. In nine face Rudraksha, nine forces called the Vidya Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Shanta Shakti, Vama Shakti, Dhyeshta Shakti, Rudra Shakti, Agni Shakti and Prashasti are embedded. Therefore, nine-face Rudraksha is in the form of Deva of Dharma. 10-face Rudraksha is in the form of Vishnu. 11-face Rudraksha is verily the form of Rudra. The 12-faced Rudraksha is in the form of 12 Advaitas. In this way, there are close connections between Rudraksha and different form of deities. Within the form of consciousness, Sripada Srivallabha has a nature of Ganesha, who is the lord of the forces of attachment and detachment. Therefore, he is the divine personification of 330 million deities. Not only that, without his will, not even an atom or a molecule in this creation can move or stir. He is responsible for all the moments. He is the cause of all causes. He appears as Vishnu to those who consider him as Shiva. He is felt as Shiva by those who has regarded him as Vishnu. He appears in his real form when we eliminate the argumentative nature in our mind and surrender to him. In this way, Dharmagupta explained the validity about the methods of worshipping Shiva and many other matters related to Rudraksha. Then he expressed his desire to go along with me to Karangudda and have a darshan of Sripada to make his birth purposeful. Both of them came to Karangudda and had a darshan of Sripada Srivallabha, Guru Sarvabhauma. Sripada opened his eyes from his yogic sleep and remarked, "Oh, what sort of discussions! There is one called Sripada. He is Shiva. I am Sripada. Or has Sripada come in his shape? Actually, who am I?" "Sir, Dharmagupta, please explain a little." Then Dharmagupta said to Sripada, "Swami, when I started from Pitikapuram for the darshan of Sri Mahaguru, my brother-in-law Pinda Venkatappa Shresti cautioned me not to fall into ignorance by arguing and counter-arguing with Sripada, but only seek his refuge and gain his grace. So I will observe silence for any question posed by you. When even the Vedas could not explain your nature and remain dumb, what am I, a layman before you? What is my knowledge? Sripada became gracious. He granted for me and for Dharmagupta salutations to his feet. When we touched his feet, we lost consciousness and remained in a state of meditation for a very long time. Dusk was approaching. Sripada instructed us to leave Karangudda and to reach the opposite bank of Krishna river. We followed his instructions. Sri Dharmagupta and I spent the night talking about the divine place of Sripada. It is not possible to say that his place will be in a particular fashion. We slipped into sleep. We heard an invisible melodious voice from somewhere. Some yogis were chanting the name of Sripada Srivallabha Digambara. We shall continue from here in the next episode. Om Sai Ram.